That's why I say you're a blockhead, Lowry. How could you let such a thing happen? The man was innocent. What do you think the press are going to say about all this? Now get out of here! Get the hell out of my sight! And if I have any more trouble with you, you'll be dishing out parking tickets before long. That's a promise, Lowry! Oh, and here's my good friend Halligan. Another one of the invaluable detectives of our glorious murder squad. Don't just stand there gaping. Come in. I'm glad you could make it. After all, you're a busy man, aren't you? Now look here, Detective Halligan. I've got used to being surrounded by a bunch of incompetent, half-baked blockheads. But your smart, well-dressed colleague Lowry has just earned himself the golden badge of stupidity. Halligan, we've got a bit of a problem. We've had an innocent man locked up in jail. Regrettably, he was killed in prison before we could correct our mistake. Unfortunate affair. And now we've got this lunatic killer running around all over London. We have to make sure that at least this oversight is put right. Your clear-up rate so far ought to be sufficient evidence that there's no point in asking you to clear up anything more than a common bicycle theft. But this does happen to be the murder squad. I am the chief of this department. All I have for choice is that blockhead Lowry and you.
Okay, Chief. What do you want me to do? What mad assassin are you referring to?
Halligan, it's well known that you'd rather read those crazy books of yours during office hours than taking any real interest in the affairs of this department. But it would now appear that you've even stopped reading the newspapers as well. For months now, a killer's been running around in London, taking victims apart and leaving nothing but bones for us to find. You can read about it in any newspaper.
I don't pay too much attention to what the papers say.
You aren't? You should be, Halligan. Really, you should. Then you'd know that your colleague, Lowry, arrested a butcher for the killings. He was murdered in prison 3 weeks ago.
Yes, Lowry told me about it. He thinks he's due for a promotion for his achievements.
Lowry should be grateful he hasn't been demoted to a traffic warden. I've taken him off the case. You can take the file with you, then you'll see what brilliant results he obtained with Stryker's help. Those two have made our entire department an ideal target for those muckrakers from the Sun. I can already see the headlines in front of me. Skeleton murderer strikes again. Jailed butcher, innocent. Scotland Yard groping in the dark.
There's been another murder.
Exactly, Halligan. A pile of bones has been found in Epping Forest. Supposedly a male corpse. We don't know any more than that. I presume we both agree that it can't have been Lowry's man, eh?
Oh, of course.
You see, I've just managed to get that into Lowry's head as well. You heard it? Lowry's off the case. Halligan, you drive out to Epping Forest and take a look at the evidence.
Of course, sir.
And Halligan, no sloppiness now. I want results. Sensible results. The press has already been terrorizing me this morning. The killer must be found. Do I make myself clear?
Of course, Chief.
Good. This is the file with all the necessary information, and now you'd better get going quickly.
Where did Lowry go wrong?
Your dear colleague Lowry dealt with the skeleton murders last year. You should know that, Halligan. Lowry worked on the case for several months and finally managed to pull a culprit out of the hat, a butcher from South London. A married man with kids. They gave him a life sentence. He was in jail till 3 weeks ago.
A butcher? How fitting. And? Why did he do it?
You'll be surprised, Halligan. He probably didn't do it at all.
He didn't do it. How could he be convicted then?
Detective Lowry imaginatively constructed an impressive chain of evidence, and the court followed his arguments in detail. The public wanted somebody to blame, and they found somebody. That's life.
Well, all right, these things happen. But how do you know that the man Lowry arrested didn't commit the murders?
Very simple. Dead people don't go around committing more murders.
It won't work like that. Of course, my case file. I don't believe it will work like that. Hello, Lowry.
Oh, no, not you, Halligan. You're all I need at the moment.
Have you got a couple of minutes, Lowry? I'd like to talk to you about a couple of things concerning the last skeleton murder.
I really don't feel like chatting right now. Least of all with you, Halligan. Read the file. It's all in there.
Lowry, I've read your file. There's just nonsense in it.
Do you know what I think, Halligan? I think I don't need to tolerate a detective in a £20 suit walking past my door criticising the quality of my work.
If my suit was more expensive, would that make your file any better?
Very witty, Detective. Yes, really, very witty. Tell me, haven't you got anything better to do than crack jokes?
Thank you for being so very friendly, Lowry. Enjoy your spare time.
Just clear off, Halligan.
That won't get me any further.
What is it this time, Halligan?
I'd really like to know how a braggart like you managed to get a date with Janet.
Well, you know what, Halligan? Women do like a winner, don't they? Little Janet is no exception. We went to the Palace yesterday.
What was showing?
The new Schwarzenegger film.
You know how to handle women, don't you?
Of course. Janet said she found it disgusting, but I know for a fact that she was very keen on it. Women are like that. Do you understand?
What amazes me is why a woman like her should find your boring stories about cars, sports, and action films so entertaining.
Halligan, I'm sure you didn't come to tell me that. What do you really want?
Could you lend me some change?
You haven't found your wallet, have you? Well, sorry, Halligan, but this is Scotland Yard, not the Bank of England.
The Bank of England is the central clearing bank, Lowry. You can't draw any money there.
Indeed. Just try it somewhere else, then. You won't get a penny from me.
Okay. I'll talk to you later, Lowry. Books? He's got books? They're probably just for show, meant to impress the ladies. My case file. A matchbox, still half full. Hello, Janet.
Hello, Brent.
Have you heard? The chief has handed Lowry's case over to me. The skeleton murders.
Yes, and there was no way that I could have missed the conversation between the Chief and Lowry.
Have we got a file about that?
As far as I can see, you've already got the file, Brent.
What? Yes, of course I've got the file. But you know that Larry and Stryker have been working on this case. The file contains a load of ridiculous nonsense, you know that. I need the terminal.
Remember the official channels, Brent. Get the necessary forms and then we'll talk again.
Damn bureaucracy. I need to make an inquiry, Janet, right now.
If you start shouting at me, I shall see the Chief before you can count to 3. Do you understand? And now leave here, please. Come back when you've got the necessary forms. Here, take this sheet and get it signed.
I thought Chief Inspector Miller had just abolished the security regulations.
No, he hasn't, Brent. Is that all?
Good. See you later, then.
Take your time, Brent.
You can't do without a ladder here. That's the Central Crime Prevention Office. It keeps an eye on flashpoints in the centre of London. It's always handy having one of these tucked away. We ran out not so long ago, and there was a big commotion on this floor. At least that's one thing you can get hold of here without too much trouble. They are needed for the forms. Makes it easier for the chief to sign them. I've got no money for that. God save the Queen. Even if she's wearing a really ugly green suit. Al's Pizza Palace makes the best pizza in the whole of London. The districts of London. I won't find anything I could make use of now in there. I've already taken one this morning. Leave them. I don't need those anymore. That used to be my weekly ration. That used to be my weekly ration. Nope, no darts now. Maybe I'll play later. Against my favourite opponent, Inspector Miller. Leave them. I don't need those anymore. I'll take it with me. Maybe I'll give it back to Miss Browning today, my greatest enemy. I'm determined to give up smoking. Leave those alone. Is there anything worse than thirst? I'll take it with me. I won't find anything I could make use of now in there. My writing desk. I am definitely the only one who can make head or tail of it. I never use the receiver. That thing is just too heavy. Using the loudspeaker is much more comfortable. I'd better leave that here. There's the Scotland Yard cupboard standard model Detective. Veneered pressboard. That is my private bookshelf. Good to know that there are intelligent life forms out there. In here I only meet weirdos like Detective Lowry. We'll see if that's true. I hardly use it. The best recipe is still Al's Pizza Palace. I didn't like that book very much. I wanted to give it to Stryker, but he doesn't read. Ah, All About Darts. A top title. There was a really good DIY description to build dartboards in it. John Sinclair, Ghost Hunter. My favourite book. Non-smoker within 21 days. The Sirius Riddle. My cooking book for single households. That's a fire hose. No, there is no fire here. You actually only use it in case of fire. Good morning, officer.
Good morning, Detective. I hope you've had a good breakfast. The sight over there is not very appetizing.
Oh, well, you know, I've got used to it. When were the bones discovered?
At 5:30 a.m. by a jogger. He phoned us.
5:30 a.m. He was out and about quite early this morning.
Indeed, sir. And half an hour later, the press arrived.
How did the press find out about this so early, officer? Did you call them by any chance?
No idea, sir. These vultures seem to have a sixth sense for crime. It's either that or somebody from your police station tipped them off.
Were there any onlookers?
Yes, a couple, but I sent them away. The real run will start after people finish work, when they've got the time. We've seen it before.
Well, hold the fort, officer.
Yes, sir. I'll have to do that.
Okay, officer, that was it. Thank you.
Any time, sir.
hardly any flesh on the bone. And there's hardly any flesh on the bone. Unbelievable. I should take the bone with me, but... This bone is quite long. Seems it's from the victim's leg. I need to have the grass examined. Strange. The grass next to the bones is black. I'd rather think about it again. Some tufts of grass from the place where the bones were found. In a bag, for evidence. That won't get me any further. That's the bone from Epping Forest, wrapped up just the way it should be. Hello, Chris.
Hi, Halligan.
I've just come back from the place where they found the bones in Epping Forest.
And? Trailblazing new findings?
I've got something here I'd like you to have a look at.
Show me.
Here you go, Chris. Have a look at this.
A bone. Very likely the right thigh bone. Why are you bringing it here? I had a look at the bones with the forensic squad this morning.
I know, but I've still got a couple of questions about them.
Well, go ahead then.
Did somebody maybe scorch the flesh off the bone?
No, definitely not. That would look different. I suspect that it was rather cut off, or maybe taken off with acid.
What sex was the victim?
Judging by the structure of the bones, I think it was male. I'll write that down in my report as well, but I'll tell you right now that you won't get it before the end of the week, Halligan.
Can you see any abnormalities?
I would have noticed them, Halligan. No fractures, no bruises, everything quite normal.
You can't tell me more than that about the bones? Chris, that doesn't help me.
There's really no more to say about the bones, Halligan. Just wait for my report. You'll have it all nicely written down then. Or, hang on a moment. If you're really interested, go and see Professor Turner. He was the supervisor of a friend's PhD thesis. That's how I met him. He works in an anthropological museum in Oxford. If anybody can say anything about the bones, he can.
Okay, thanks for the advice.
Don't mention it, Brent.
No, not a chance. That's the bone from Epping Forest. That won't get me any further. A bottle of apple juice. No way. Chris, I've got something else for you. Could you have a quick look at that too?
The weed. Also from the place where the bones were found, I suppose.
Exactly.
Okay, Brent. And what do you want to know about it?
What do you think about this?
This is grass, Halligan.
Have you seen something like this before?
You mean, have I seen grass before? Are you trying to pull my leg?
Have another look.
Slight burning traces. Where'd you get it from?
The bones were lying on this grass.
Oh, maybe somebody made a fire on the grass before the bones were lying there. That's not very unusual in parks.
That was no fireplace, Chris. The grass was burnt under the bones and just there.
Well then, maybe the bones got hot.
Can bones get that hot in the sun?
Well, I don't think this is very likely in autumn. But right now, I can't say much more about that either.
Okay, Chris. See you later on. A bottle with some sort of chemical. The bottle is full of dust and fingerprints. A bottle with some sort of chemical. Hello, Chris.
Hi, Halligan.
I'd like to sit on this bench here all day, but I don't have the time. Closed due to renovation works. Great. And now? These are the beggar's bags. These are the beggar's bags. Hello, my friend.
Huh?
Can I help you somehow?
Help? Help? Nobody can help me.
Hey, don't despair. Everybody has a hard time now and then. Maybe I can do something for you.
Just leave it. I've lost everything. Everything. No money, no flat, no future. I'm finished. Simply finished.
Have you tried working?
Listen, mate. Do you want trouble? Are you from the benefit office or something like that? Bagger off, you.
Oh, I didn't want to be impolite. I'm just interested.
Bagger off, pal. You think I'm on holiday here, right?
No, of course not. I just meant...
Go on, save your breath. Bagger off.
Okay, I must be off now.
Well then. Okay.
Hello, my friend.
Huh?
What are you doing here?
Are you blind? I'm having a drink.
Can I have a drop?
Get your own bottle, mate. And get me one as well. My bottle's empty.
There's money in your hat there. Isn't that enough for a bottle of gut rot?
Oh, no. Those pennies wouldn't feed a parking meter.
Why is the museum being closed?
Well, it's been refurbished. At the moment, the business is running really badly.
How much did you, make today?
Well, just a proxy 60 pence.
You're right. You won't get far on that. Have you seen anybody going into the museum?
Yeah. Just this morning, a woman. A young, pretty one.
A woman? You haven't seen a man?
Nah. Only a woman. She comes here every day. Now and again, she gives me a few pennies. Oh, I think she works in the museum.
Ah, a woman then.
So what? What's special about that? There are millions of women running about in this world.
Okay, I must be off now.
Well then. Okay.
Hello, my friend.
Huh?
Can I help you somehow?
Help? Help? Nobody can help me.
Hey, don't despair. Everybody has a hard time now and then. Maybe I can do something for you.
Just leave it. I've lost everything. Everything. No money, no flat, no future. I'm finished. Simply finished.
What do you need most urgently?
What I need a drink. Hey, mightn't you have a couple of pounds for me?
Sorry, I've got no money on me.
No money, eh? Well, bugger off then, old miser.
Okay, I must be off now.
Well then, okay.
The beggar's flask. Absolutely empty. Telephone charges of British Telecom, so nobody forgets how expensive it is to use the phone. Hey, a phone box, and I don't need a phone card. You can't get through like that. The bottle is full of dust and fingerprints. A bottle with some sort of chemical.
Well, Halligan, how'd you get on at the museum? What did Professor Turner say? Could he help you?
The museum is closed. It's being refurbished.
Oh, well, that's bad luck. Why don't you phone him?
My wallet has disappeared. Have you seen it?
Your wallet? No, it isn't here. Was there much money in it?
No, a £20 note and some change.
Well, it isn't here anyway.
Okay, Chris, that's it for the moment.
Okay, Halligan. See you then.
I can't do anything with this. I can't even pronounce the name on the label right. Fingerprint powder. The bottle is full of dust and fingerprints. A bottle with some sort of chemical. The bottle is full of dust and fingerprints. A bottle with some sort of chemical. Take it with me? Chris surely wouldn't like that. It's quite dirty, full of dust and fingerprints. A bottle with some kind of liquid in it.
Well, Halligan, how'd you get on at the museum? What did Professor Turner say? Could he help you? Well, Halligan, how'd you get on at the museum? What did Professor Turner say? Could he help you?
Something I wanted to ask you, Chris. What do those flasks contain?
Oh, you mean those on the shelves? They contain all sorts of different chemicals I need for my work. Indicator solutions, alcohol, things like that.
You've got a great job, Chris. masses of alcohol, and everything legal.
Nonsense, Halligan. Do you think we spend all day getting drunk with medical alcohol? Why don't you just try the stuff?
What will happen to me then?
You'll see. Well, how about it? Are you scared?
Sure, no problem.
Here, Brent, to your health. What's up? Go ahead, try it. You won't get one of these so often.
All right, here we go. Cheers.
To your health, Brent. An interesting aroma.
Isn't it? Brent, aren't you feeling very well? Brent, are you sure you're okay?
God damn it. You could knock someone out cold with this kind of stuff, Chris. Chris? I'd rather think about it again. Fingerprint powder. Look what we've got here. This is the bottle Chris took. Now the flask is full. A bottle of apple juice. Think first. I don't believe some tufts of grass from the place where the bones were found. In a bag for... Think first, Brent. It won't work like that. I don't want that. A flask, brimful with a mixture of apple juice and ethanol. That's the bone from Epping Forest. A bottle of apple juice. I've got something for you. Apple schnapps from Detective Halligan's home distillery. My own brand. Would you like to have a taste?
You serious? All right, pal. I'm as dry as the bottom of a parrot's cage.
Why don't you drink it all? I don't mind. And it's a cracker, I can tell you.
Cheers, mister.
Cheers. Telephone charges of British Telecom, so nobody forgets how expensive it is to use the phone. Telephone charges of... Hey, a phone box, and I don't need a phone card. What shall I pay for? Let's see if the phone number of the museum is listed in here. Museum, okay. Museum of African Studies, Museum of Ancient History. Here, Anthropological Museum. And the extension of Professor Turner? It's here. I've got it.
Hello?
Hello, who's that?
Who am I speaking to?
This is Detective Halligan from Scotland Yard.
Scotland Yard? What can I do for you?
I need to speak to Professor Turner. Doesn't he work at the museum?
Yes, but he's away on business.
Where has he gone to?
Kenya. It's a long expedition.
But I really need to speak to him urgently.
Professor Turner will not be available while he's on his expedition. I'm afraid you'll have to wait.
Look, miss, what was your name?
Goodbye, Mr. Halligan.
She's hung up.
Well, Brent, still got a headache?
Don't ask, Chris.
Have you managed to contact Professor Turner?
Yeah, I phoned him, but he wasn't in.
Not in?
He's on an expedition. I just talked to some woman who works there.
With his extension number?
Yes, exactly.
Well, Halligan, that was probably his daughter Melanie. She works in the museum as well. My friend told me a lot about her. He used to be really keen on her.
So, Professor Turner has a daughter. Thanks, Chris. I think that'll help me. What shall I pay for?
Hello?
Hello, this is Halligan again. Please don't hang up, Miss Turner.
How do you know my name, Mr. Halligan?
Chris Hecker told me that Professor Turner's your father.
Yes, that's true.
What do you do at the museum?
I'm an anthropologist.
The same as your father.
Yes?
Miss Turner, do you think you could help me?
That depends. What's the trouble?
I found a bone that I've had examined at the lab.
A bone? A human bone?
Yes, of course. It belonged to a murder victim.
Murder? How awful.
The bone is from the body of one of the victims of the skeleton murders. I take it you've read about them?
Oh, good heavens, yes. What can I do for you?
Couldn't we discuss that inside?
Certainly. Come on over. I'll let you in.
Halligan?
Yes, that's right. Hello, Miss Turner. Nice to meet you. Thank you for taking the time.
No problem. We're closed anyway. The museum is being refurbished.
It's not easy to get in touch with you. I was close to giving up.
Oh, you mean because of the phone call? I'm really sorry. I do sometimes tend to be rather short on the phone. You know, I get unpleasant calls sometimes, and that's why I'm a bit suspicious.
I see. Well, I finally got in touch with you.
Would you like to come in? Would you like a cup of coffee or anything else?
No, thanks.
Mr. Halligan, how may I help you?
As I said, I'm working on the skeleton murders. We found another victim in Epping Forest. All the evidence points to the same culprit as in the other cases. The corpse was completely skeletonized. Professional work.
That's horrible. But how can I help you?
My colleague Chris Hecker of the Forensic Lab has already had a look at the bones. He thought that your father could perhaps carry out some additional tests. He is a renowned expert, after all.
Yes, he could do that. But as I said, my father isn't here.
I know, but it is very urgent. Perhaps you could have a look?
You say you've got some of the bones with you?
Yes, just one. Here.
This is a femur.
Yes, that's what Chris Hecker said as well.
It will take some time, Mr. Halligan. Could you wait a moment?
I would like to ask you some questions about your work, just out of interest. What's your research field?
I specialize in sacrificial rites.
Sacrificial rites? That's an unusual research field for a young woman.
Do you think so? I don't think you should divide preferred science fields for men or women, Mr. Halligan.
No, I didn't mean it like that. I just think that you must have to do with death all the time if you research sacrifices.
Death is part of our existence, Mr. Halligan. In all cultures, all around the world.
You're telling me. If you take it like that, we are almost like colleagues.
Maybe. But it's not my job to put people in jail. I document the sacrificial rites of different cultures in order to help create a better mutual understanding.
What is there to be understood about murder?
I'm not saying that I approve of everything I research, Mr. Halligan, but in foreign cultures, not all sacrificial rites are regarded as murder. Most cultures sacrifice animals or plants, and they do so for religious reasons. Human sacrifices don't exist anywhere in the world at present. They're a thing of the past.
How long have you been working here?
Several years. My father helped me to get the job here at the museum.
Connections are indispensable nowadays, aren't they?
I was the most qualified applicant, but it's not easy to gain acceptance with the old boys at the museum's board when you're a woman. You have to be at least twice as good as the best male applicant.
And you were?
Of course I was. It's been decided that I'll be the head of the museum as soon as my father retires.
When will that be?
In 5 years?
Then you will have achieved a lot for someone your age.
How old do you think I am?
I'd say 29.
Exactly.
What's your father's current research project?
He's in Kenya studying initiation rituals.
What?
The rituals carried out when the childhoods of boys and girls end and they're admitted to the circle of adults.
What are all these strange things here in your lab?
They're things my father and I have brought back from various expeditions. They have to be catalogued, will then become part of the permanent exhibition of our museum. Some things are personal presents. We keep those, of course.
You see quite a lot of the world, don't you?
Yes, that's part of my job.
That was very interesting. Thank you, Miss Turner.
Not at all. I like talking about it. I'm often alone here with my work. It feels good to be able to chat. But now I'll have a look at that bone you brought.
Good.